So hi, welcome coming here today. So as I have said, that's my first stream, and first of all, let me introduce myself and what we'll be doing today, what discussing. So as my nickname suggests, I'm Artcultist, and today we're gonna discuss issues of art. But usually when people think about art, they consider it something dull, something boring, something for connoisseurs, only for a small group of people who can understand it, in fact. But today I want to speak about art from some other angle of view. We are going to discuss art through popular culture samples like video games, cinema, animation references. And as you can see now on this picture, I have two samples blending together. That's a very famous uh, painting of the 19th century by an outstanding French romantic painter, Eugène Delacroix, La liberté guidant le peuple, liberty guiding people. That's to the left, and to the right you can see a concept art definitely inspired by this picture from Assassin's Creed Unity game. So that's just a sample, but nevertheless it gives some little clue to what we are going to discuss today. And I mean not only the concept of my, let's say, little lection, but of the theme that we are going to discuss. So not long ago, about a month ago, I returned from a vacation to Paris, the wonderful city of love, La Ville des Lumières, a great city that inspired many designers, many artists, different people of different professions all over the world. And my friends asked me to give some review of the city. And I thought that maybe showing pictures would be a bit boring as well. So I decided to make this stream telling about the city of Paris through games. And I have chosen a game that I know quite well, I think. I hope so. And I'll be switching between the game and between the references that I have made for it. So let's see what we have here. So I hope you see now what is here. I hope. Oh, no, you don't see it again. I'm very sorry. One moment. So now I think you see it well. Here I have some references that I have prepared beforehand. Here you see different samples, yeah? And I'll be switching between these samples and the game. Here you can see, oh wow, what's that? By the font and by the interface, you can guess that's an Overwatch game, in fact, yeah? Here and here again. I hope you all see what is going on. Yes? Let's see again. So, what I'm going to do now is to create a map in Overwatch game. Unfortunately, it will be available for a limited amount of time, so perhaps I'll have to load it several times. Of course, it will be a Paris map. So we're going to make some stroll in the City of Love, and I'll be switching here and there to tell you what references from real life I have seen in the game. And I think that will be much more interesting than just showing pictures from my vacation. Hope guys you will like it. So let's get started. So I'm creating a game. I'm going to spectators mode. So we're not going to fight anymore here. So we go to settings, battlefield, So I'll switch on Paris. Yes. So back, back. Oh, let's load the map. Oh, you're coming to Paris. Wow. Well, well. Here it is. So, we see the map, we can fly here and there. So, I have some kind of a route. Let me be your guide today. We are starting from the respawn point for the attackers. Yeah. Wow, what we see here? Some kind of a cafe, a restaurant, or a theater, maybe. Yeah. In fact, that's a French cabaret. Cabaret. Uh, well, but you know, I have forgotten to to make a little intro. So, the buildings of the streets of Paris persistently ask for photos, as I have already said. That is not surprising because the French capital is very photogenic and cinematic, and as I have said, the beauty of Parisian architecture amazes, fascinates us, makes us look not only on the world famous attractions, but also on ordinary houses built along the main streets and avenues. Well, we have quite magnificent buildings here. The appearance of modern Paris is determined by the Ottoman buildings, which grew here in the second half of the 19th century in the framework of large-scale urban development of Baron Osman. It is then when the medieval Paris turned into the city that we know and love today. And of course, numerous painters like Impressionists, first of all, made a special brand from the city that that is quite well stamped, perhaps, in the head of each foreigner about this wonderful city. I wanted to make a quote also about the main idea of this map. Let me switch to my references. Here you see the first concept art made for the map. What we see here? We see all the main landmarks of the city. Of course, the Eiffel Tower, quite sci-fi looking here, yeah? We see on the background Montmartre Hill with Sacré-Cœur. We see balloons, some festive atmosphere, I'd say. We see the windmill of Moulin Rouge. We see Paris Metro pavilions and a lot of Art Nouveau style. Those elvish stairs, entrances to the houses, and the houses as well. Look, they look really elf-like, like from some fairy tale. So, what the Overwatch lead writer Michael Chu said about the main concept of this map. So, we want every map to have this core identity and theme, he said. And actually for Paris it was art. We took Art Nouveau and used it to build the bones of the city, even down to the street art and stuff. We wanted to capture that revolutionary spirit of Paris. It is this feeling of everything is happening, being vibrant and alive. So, not by chance, I have mentioned this revolutionary spirit. If we look at other concept arts, we see that not always that was a holiday city and tourist attraction. It was a place of a severe battle, as you see here. Well, and from different events, like we see here, one of the heroes of the game, the Roadhog, so stealing something, something sweetie. And on the battlefield map, we also see Paris as some burning point. So all those things, revolution, rebellion, as well as art, all combined in this city, make it really unforgettable. So And now we will see in detail what we have here. We'll see different clues about what I have just already mentioned, but let us look in detail. So we're in the French cabaret, yeah. So the word cabaret, from some sources, is resembling chambre or chambre, from I don't quite well, from the Belgian language, old language. I mean, that means a small room or small camera, from late Latin words. Yeah, and now it is a place of entertainment, of theatrical entertainment, featuring music, songs, dances, recitation, drama, and it is mainly distinguished by the performance venue, which might be a pub, a restaurant, or a nightclub with a stage for performances. And the audience, often dining or drinking, does not typically dance but usually sits at tables. Performances are usually introduced here by a master of ceremonies, and um, what I wanted to say, that sometimes, of course, it is not for children. Well, okay. So, of course, what comes to our mind when we say cabaret? Yeah. First of all, of course, that is Moulin Rouge, perhaps the most famous French cabaret. Here is some photograph of the interior, and as you can see, even details like those balustrades with hearts, yeah, the overall intimate atmosphere, this dark with warm light. Practically the same can be seen here. We even see this balustrade with hearts. It is definitely from Moulin Rouge. As for the stage, I think that it somehow resembles the other famous cabaret named Lido. Yeah, here it is. I think that there is some slight resemblance. Yeah. So once again into the game and back. So we really see that those places inspired the concept artists and level designers of the game. Other small details include, for example, this. Look here. Let's go back. Well, some posters, yeah? And indeed, Paris of the 19th century was full of posters that were advertising different sorts of entertainment for the rapidly growing French capital. And here we see one of the most famous poster redesigns, Tournée du Luna, Cabaret. And what we see here, look guys, what I have here. One of the most famous French posters that was done by, it is an iconic poster art done by Théophile Steinlen. I hope that I have pronounced his name and surname in the right manner. So it is for the cabaret Le Chat Noir, or the Black Cat. It is the first cabaret in the modern sense of this word that was in the Bohemian neighborhood of Montmartre, created in 1881 by Rudolph Salis, a theatrical agent and entrepreneur. So, as for Steinlen, he had great affection for cats, as seen in many of his paintings. For example, The Triumph of Cats, really funny art. And in the Montmartre quarter of Paris, Steinlen befriended with the painter Adolphe Roulet, who introduced him to the artistic crowd at Le Chat Noir that led to his commissions to do poster art for the cabaret owner. And it is his most famous work that we see here as well. As for the other posters, I have to say that it is really, really hard to determine their real prototypes, uh, perhaps because there were too many of them, and Le Chat Noir is really the most outstanding, perhaps, of them. Uh, Dear post designers, please my apologies, but Teofil Steinlein really did some immortal piece of art. So, just for myself, one moment, please, guys. I have made a compilation of different posters. There are really many of them, but the resemblance is seen quite well, and we see that the concept designers of the game really tried to analyze the style of those posters. So let's see what else do we have here. Let's just wander here and there. So we have a bar. So alcohol. Well, France is associated with what? Cognac, champagne, wines. Yeah. So what we have here. So all is blurry except this one. Ah, look, Petras. And as for Petrus, I managed to find perhaps the closest reference, even to such small detail, not the real one, not literally the same, but nevertheless, look here, it is Petrus wine. It is from a Bordeaux region. Chateau Petrus is a wine estate located in Bordeaux, and it is also famous for extreme prices, along with Le Pen, that rank consistently among the world's most expensive wines. I have to say that the bottle of Petrus wine is priced at an average of $2,500. So I think that it is better not to shoot in this cabaret because it is too expensive. So, oh well, we can't go there. Something mysterious is happening there, perhaps. But okay, okay. Some intimate spaces, perhaps to speak about revolution, maybe. Maybe. Okay. Let's go further and see what we have here. So, as for the streets in a whole, as I have already mentioned, they are made in the so-called Osmanian style. Let me speak about them a bit more in detail. So, who was Baron Osman once again? Why I'm mentioning him so frequently? So, George Eugène Osman, commonly known as Baron, was a prefect of the Seine department of France, chosen by Emperor Napoleon III to carry out a massive urban renewal program of new boulevards, parks, and public works in Paris that is commonly referred to as Osman's renovation of Paris. So, critics force his resignation for extravagance, but his vision of the city still dominates central Paris, as I have already mentioned. And speaking about Parisian architecture, the word Osman comes immediately to mind. As I have said, it is the main association with Paris in our minds. But if everyone knows that word, the criteria that define a typical building of that era are less known. So let us see what were those details. Of course, the buildings had to comply to several very strict regulations, like height, like the width of the buildings, that couldn't outstand too much from the red line of the street. And the facade of the Osmanian style has some peculiar features and division into levels that have those details. Let us see them. So here I have a picture from an old catalog, architectural catalog, mentioning a typical Osmanian facade. Let us see. Here it is. So here we see the division to levels, normally about 5 or 6 levels. So we see high ceiling ground floor that can accommodate shops, with a first floor called mezzanine for storage or housing. These two stages are often horizontally striped. So two levels that in Russia, in my native country, that are the first and the second floor, in fact. Here it is ground floor. Then let us see further goes noble second floor with balconies. You see those balconies? And you can see richer windows and richer frames. Here it is the third floor if we count from the pavement level. So they have balconies, richer window frames. Why is the second stage the noble one? Why the noble one? Because at that time the civil lift didn't exist yet. It therefore avoids the rich people the exhausting task of climbing the stairs. So no elevator, no need for rich people to go upstairs for too long. So that's why the noble floor comes directly above the ground floor. Then goes third and the fourth floor, more conventional with poor window frames, and you really can see that they don't have those rich decorations of windows. And individual balconies have appeared at the end of Osman period following new regulations, famous French balconies that are not protruding too much to the street. In fact, that is just some part of the window with this iron cast decorative balustrades. That's a French balcony. Then the fifth floor with running balconies, a floor that is not noble but has a balcony. Look, this long balcony, like a stripe going along the whole building. For the sake of balance, for the aesthetics of the facade. And we see the last floor for attic rooms. Let's see now what we have in the game. So, I have been speaking so much just about common houses, but I think that is really important. So we see the ground floor, then goes richer floor. Well, here we don't see that gradation of stories in these buildings, but they definitely have these attic rooms with look-on windows, yes, that are also a typical feature of French houses here. But we in fact see on the last floor we see these long balconies going along the whole building. Yeah, here it is. So my cam is just a bit slowed down, so I'll wait for it. Okay. And in fact, Osmanian architecture is classic in style, but here we see a lot of Art Nouveau style elements, these elfish features, yeah, in the window frames. And by those window frames, I tried to find the exact Parisian houses that have those features. Let us see. I have found one of such houses. It is named Le Chardon. In fact, in English, it is whistle because of the decoration, ceramic decoration. Okay, I'll wait a bit more for my cam to switch to Photoshop and to show you guys those samples. Here we see them, yeah, you see those decorations of window frames with these rounded tops, as you see here. Really one of the most beautiful buildings of the French capital to my mind, Le Chardon, not far from the Radio House and the Eiffel Tower, by the way. So if you want to know the address, if you want to know the address, please ask me. So I see that some guys are speaking about me being too silent. Yeah, okay, I'll try to make. I see my microphone is at maximum. Okay, I'll try to speak closer to it. Hope you hear me now. Is it okay? Just let me know, guys. I need your feedback, especially for my first stream. So, if everything is okay, let's go further. Thank you. So, what we have? What do we have else? Let me see. Oh yes, I like those details. Windows, for example, this window looked very familiar to me, for me too. Wait a bit more. Wait, okay, okay. Just a window in Arnovo style once again, but I think that somehow it resembles this window. Not as complicated as this one. Come, let us switch, please. One moment, please. Aha. Le Théâtre de l'Athénée, the theater of the Athens. It is the theater in the 9th arrondissement, a district of Paris, renovated in 1996 and now classified as a historical monument of Paris. And I think that, well, I think that it is the reference for what I have just shown you. Just a window, but nevertheless, I tried to find as much details as possible, guys. Like here, look, this reference, I can say 100% sure where it really comes from, because it comes from one of the most outstanding houses of the French capital. One moment. One moment. Oh, look here, guys. Look here. So, sorry for slow poking. So we see this arch here, and it is in the building named Castel Béranger. This is the work of a recognized master of classical Parisian Art Nouveau style, Hector Guimard. The architect started working on this project, just think about it, guys, at the age of 28. All elements of decor for this building, including stained glass, balconies, stairs, mosaics, I don't know, door handles, fireplaces, even patterns of wallpapers Guimard has created himself. And like the interior, the exterior's artistry of every detail force us to stop and admire this magnificent building. And these forged gates give a special mood to the architecture of Art Nouveau. Guimard first inscribed asymmetrical wrought iron gates in the stone arch, making them an important element of the architectural solution. And we really see them in the game. Even those passages behind the arch really resembling what we see in the game. So I've just returned from Paris, and I can say that they're resembling one of the well-known French passages. Passage. We all know this word for a long street covered by roof. Normally it is an arched glass roof, so the light can go inside easily. And here we see the oldest Parisian passage. In English it is named, like from Game of Thrones, Joffrey passage. En français, passage Geoffroy. Oui. So, Joffrey Passage is located not far from the Opera House in the same ninth district, and is a narrow shopping street under a glass dome, accommodating many shops and cafes. So, I've been there for many times, and I really liked it for its intimate atmosphere. I think that we really have it as a reference here. I'm not sure, of course, but it really resembles what I have seen with my with my own eyes. Okay, let us go further because I have many details more to discuss. Of course, French cafes, but there are thousands of such cafes in the French capital, and we'll speak about some of them in particular. So here we see different graffitis, and while being in Paris, I was really shocked to see a lot of graffitis, modern graffitis, right in the historical center. And even though I don't admit graffitis on historical buildings with decorations, and as far as I know, the codex of graffiti artists really is not in favor of such actions. Nevertheless, I have seen a lot of them, and as I already mentioned, even though I don't admit it, they create some feature of modern day Paris as well. And when we look here, look guys, we see this robot. In game they are known as Omnics, and they started a rebellion against their creators, so against us human beings, for freedom and for equal rights. So we also have a quote from game designers of Mass Effect, sorry, Mass Effect, another my famous game. Sorry, Overwatch, of course. So, um, one moment, I'll just read this little quote to you. So, um, one moment. So, according to Overwatch lead writer Michael Chu, the Omnics have a bit more freedom in Paris compared to London, for example, King's Row. King's Row is definitely one of the places where the Omnics and the humans don't get along well, and we see clues to that on the King's Row map. We'll discuss it next stream, I think. Omnics are more accepted in France in the Overwatch universe, but there are still some issues they are trying to work out. In London, they have an underworld, but in Paris, they are mostly accepted, just not quite. And we see this robot with a flag, and once again, it resembles perhaps the most famous image of France, the embodiment of France, also known as Marianne, and you have already seen it at the beginning of my today's stream. Again, liberty guiding people. This woman, half naked, that leads people forward over a barricade and the bodies of the fallen, holding the flag of the French Revolution, the tricolor, which again became France's national flag after these events, in the one hand, and brandishing a bayoneted gun with the other hand. So I'm absolutely sure that the image really inspired this graffiti. So once again we see different posters from French cabarets. What else we have here? So those guys with fabric, with those stripes over their eyes. Okay, I'll wait for my cam to fly and to show you guys. Well, I think that it resembles the goddess of justice, Themis. Themis, you all know her quite well. The statue of her is often presented at courts, yeah. So we see two themes, justice and liberty. And I think that these are really the keys for understanding the mood of the game. Here is some dark corner, side street. Nous vous surveillons. We are watching you. Oh, that's that's really creepy, guys. Oh, wow. Oh, sorry. Uh, I'll have to run this map again because the time for the match has gone out. One moment, please. I'll make the match again for you so we could fly again and see other elements. So, okay. Uh, so graffitis. I'm not a specialist in graffitis, but some of them really seem very familiar, like this Liberty guiding people. And I thought, what this is, in fact? Well, of course, it resembles an omnic face, like a hero from the game Zenyatta, for example. It really looks like a human face, but it also resembled something familiar. And wow, I thought that, well, just just see it yourself. One moment. I'll wait for my cam again. Please, my dear cam, show us what we have in Photoshop. Wow, what we have here. That is World Cup. That was held in my country last year. And this emblem really is some sort of reference. Well, here on the map we can also find a ball. Unfortunately, I don't see it now in the spectator mode. But if you move this ball, there you can see two stars. And in fact, that is also some little clue. That's a reference to the fact that the French national football team twice became the world champion. And in honor of this, the team of the game added two stars to their emblem. And Easter egg was in fact confirmed by senior screenwriter Michael Chu. And I think these two things came at once simultaneously in this map. Often even such details as their addiction to football. I really like those details. Really like them. So let's go further. Let's go further. My dear Cam, I'm already there. Please move faster. Okay? Okay. So here we see traditional French boulangerie or pâtisserie. Unfortunately, I haven't distinguished those two for myself yet quite clearly. I think that we have a mix of those two here in this place. And looking at those shelves and the overall interior, I thought that, well, in fact, it should be something something really famous and popular. There should be definitely some real-life reference. So, I think I have found such reference, and it is a famous French luxury bakery and sweets maker named La Durée. La Durée, my dear Cam, show us please. So, this shop we have here, yes, it is one of the world's best-known premier sellers of the double-decker macaron. Macaron, that has nothing to do with pasta, Italian pasta. That's about cookies, macaron cookies. And La Duré's rise to fame came actually in, let me think, 1930, when his grandson had the original idea of the double-decker, sticking two macaron shells together with a creamy ganache as filling. And the first pastry shop on Rue Royale became, in its time, a symbol of the so-called French lifestyle. l'art de vivre à la française. And I think that it is really a good reference here. I'm absolutely sure that it is La Durée used for this space here. Well, well, oh, even such details also took my attention. So what we have here, just a little scooter, but, I think it is about this model. So Vespa PX series is a range of scooters manufactured, well, not by French manufacturer, in fact, by Piaggio. It is an Italian company under the Vespa brand. The name means wasp in Italian. So, from their inception, Vespa scooters have been known for their painted, press-steeled unibody. Look at those elegant lines, sleek lines, streamline, modern style, retro style, and it really looks retro-futuristic here. And I also think that I have found the real prototype. My dear Cam, please show us the game again. Show us the game. Yes, here it is. Okay, what else do we have here? Those cars, I have to say that I'm not a connoisseur of cars, in fact. Maybe you guys can tell me more, but I think that they really resemble the Renault models. In fact, the Parisian police has such models. Here it is. Perhaps the closest sample that I could find. But I have to say once again, I'm not that strong in industrial design to which cars refer to. But one of the cars is 100% reference. Here it is. Look here at this retro-futuristic model. Cam, I'm already at place. Please be faster. Yes, you're right. Yes, this car. And look what I have found for you guys. Just above. Look, well, here it is. And in fact, it is another iconic French car, the Citroën DS. It's a front-engined, front-wheel drive executive car that was manufactured and marketed by the French company Citroën for about 20 years, from the mid of the 20th century, if I'm not mistaken. But this car is noted for its aerodynamic, futuristic body design and, of course, innovative technology. For example, in braking, it was the first mass production car equipped with disc brakes. And numerous people worked on the design. For example, an Italian sculptor, an industrial designer, Flaminio Bertoni, the French aeronautical engineer André Lefebvre styled and engineered the car. Paul Maget developed the suspension system for it. And in fact, for its design and its technical characteristics, the DS models was placed third in the Car of the Century poll, recognizing the world's most influential auto designs, and was named the most beautiful car of all time by Classic and Sports Car magazine. In fact, I really like its retro-futuristic design. It is really a beautiful reference that we see here on its place in the sci-fi universe of Overwatch as well. Let's go further. Let's go further. My dear Cam, I am already flying there. Please be faster. Be faster, please. So, Cam, yeah. You're flying right, yeah. Over here, over. I'm here, yeah. Yeah. Go, yeah. So, uh, what's that? That's an advertising column? Yeah. Are you kidding? What is going on here? The Morris column, in fact, is also uh, a landmark of sorts of the French streets, and an outstanding kind of street furniture for generations in this city. It's a tall and elegant dark green advertising column, as you see here, placed at regular intervals on the Paris pavement. This structure has been an iconic element of Parisian streets. So, this column appeared in the 19th century, in the mid of the 19th century, about 1860s or 70s. So it was, in fact, created by French printer Morris, who won the competition launched by the city of Paris for designing the exclusive advertising spaces. Why? Because during that time, posting was wild. As I have said, the city was rapidly growing. Don't forget about the Industrial Revolution that made the city's population growing very fast, and that growing population needed entertainment, needed goods. So advertising was really everywhere, guys. Consequently, posters were found on the walls, on the fences, even on the trees, and that advertising was not in fact regulated. And that Morris column really helped to improve that chaotic situation. And well, that column had to be harmonious with the urban environment, and it was painted dark green so as to blend in with the city's tree-lined boulevards. The circular billboard terminated in a pointed dome similar to some other elements of street furniture. I'll speak about them a bit later. So the dome is set on a hexagonal awning decorated with scales, with acanthus sleeves. Of course, the real one, I mean. Of course, here we see a more simplified design. Let us see what we have. So I have found this reference. It is really more beautiful, more decorated. Really many interesting details found here, just in a simple column. That is really great, guys. So today those columns mainly promote movies. So, but of course we can see advertisements of concerts, theater plays and cabarets as well, as we see them in the game as well. What we have here? Well, these are not just simple posters. They are not just for furniture. Le Lac des Cygnes, or I'm sorry, Le Lac des Cygnes perhaps. The Swan Lake. The Swan Lake. As we know from the history of the widow, the sniper of this game, she used to be a famous Parisian ballerina, and judging by the appearance of her Odile skin, you can see it in the game, performed the part in this ballet. So here is a reference to the history of the character of the game. Next, La Bayadère, another famous ballet. Again, the role in the role of Prima, we see Omnic is depicted. What else we have here? Opera, but in fact we don't see French opera house, opera Garnier. We see some towers on the sides, And in fact, guys, it is from Monaco. That may be some clue to the next going map. Some rumors really are flowing in the web about it. So, Santé, Chateau Ophélie, Castle of Ophelia. I don't know what is it. I think that it has been fully invented for the game. So, what else we can see here? The same. Oh, the same. Fermé, closed. Okay. Okay, we'll see next time. Okay. But we also see those elements as the Morris column has. Look at those hexagonal domes, green, outstanding characteristic green paint, yeah, at the same time outstanding, simultaneously blending with the green environment of the city, the trees, parks, so on and so forth. What other elements can be seen here? Oh, look, it, it really looks familiar to all those who have been to Paris and who have traveled by Paris metro. What do we have here? Those famous subway pavilions. Hey, my dear Cam, I'm already at place. Lower, yeah, okay. Yes. So, once again, created by the curious and inventive mind of Hector Guimard, whose Castel Béranger we have seen at the beginning of the stream. So, Guimard was also a pioneer of industrial standardization, insofar as he wished to diffuse the new art on a larger scale. His greatest success here, in spite of some scandals, of course, was his entrances to the Paris metro, based on the ornamented structures of Viollet-le-Duc, a famous reconstructor of the 19th century. The idea was taken up, but with less success in later years, where we can also see those cast iron elements applicable to buildings. So he really wanted cast iron elements like this one that we see here to be implied to buildings. And really, what I like in Guimard's style is that his inimitable stylistic vocabulary suggests plants and organic matter while still remaining abstract. So we see something resembling plants, but at the same time the design is really abstract. Flexible moldings and sense of movement are found in stone as well as in steel and wood carvings. That's what I really like. Unfortunately, very little original designs survived up to the present day. Mainly the pavilions are reconstructed, but nevertheless they are great samples of industrial design. And we see them, though in a simplified version, here in the game. My dear Cam, show us please against the game. Yes? Yes, you can do it. Lower, lower, yeah. What we have? Le Bon Affaire. Well, no visual clues here, but I think that the name really is reminiscent of the Bon Marché. Bon Marché is a very expensive and luxurious shop in Paris. Very expensive goods can be found here. I think that in this boutique as well. I'm already in the boutique, my dear Cam. Please, please, flow, yeah? Okay. Okay. So, while my cam is flowing, perhaps I'll have to. Um, okay. Let me see. Okay. 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 Mm, just little settings. I wanted to see if all is okay with this slowing down. Okay, let's go further. Another sample here, a French revival style. Hôtel de Ville, the city hall, yeah, the mayor's house, made in revival style or the French Renaissance. Those vertical windows, high ceilings, high roofs, with a lot of decoration, tall chimney towers. So this vertical movement reminiscent of the French Gothic style. I think that somehow in the game such buildings are resembling in fact what we have just seen. Yeah. As well as we see here the most famous French landmarks, Notre Dame de Paris and the Eiffel Tower, that is seen practically from each point of the map. Each point of the map, it leads us. And if we go back, my dear Cam, you will have to follow me. When we go out from the attacking point, we can see this tower even from here. It leads us, it guides us, in fact. And you know, when I have been looking at this game view, I thought that perhaps I have seen it somewhere. And in fact, I have seen it. Look here, guys. I think that this picture was really a source of inspiration. Not mentioning the fact that it has buildings in Art Nouveau style as well here. It is the building of the Theosophical Society made by Jules Lavirotte, another famous French architect of Art Nouveau style. Let's return to the game. Let's return here. And go further. So let us see a bit more of the interiors. Okay. Yeah. Let's go inside this hotel building. You know, I also thought that it is something familiar for me. And, well, yes, of course it is familiar. For all of you who are not gourmands, but maybe who like eating, I have something surprising for you. Look at this sample. Le Fermette Marbeuf. That's a gourmet restaurant in the Golden Triangle of the Champs-Élysées district, listed as a historic monument today. Look at this, at its style, Winter Garden style, Art Nouveau style, or the early 20th century, with glass ceilings, stained glass frescoes, mosaics, ceramics, wall painting, chandeliers, furnishing, all those decorations, decorative objects, created by the architect Émile Huttret. So I'm very much sure that a simplified version of this luxury restaurant is seen here in the game as the interior of the hotel. Yes, it is it, in fact. So, let us continue, and we are going further. So we are going to some large palace, but one more interesting location here that gamers players don't usually see well. They have more interesting things to do, but it is here. There are many bridges in Paris, a lot of bridges, or pont en français. But this bridge is really outstanding for its design. It is, in fact, Bir Hakeim Bridge, the Pont de Bir Hakeim, formerly the Pont de Passy, after the former commune of Passy, which it reaches, in fact. And it is not far from the real Eiffel Tower as well. And it also connects a small island with the city. We can't go here outside the borders of the map, but you see that there is a long island behind the bridge. The real bridge also has this island on where a small copy of the Statue of Liberty is situated. So we have this bridge here. So it was renamed in the middle of the 20th century to commemorate the Battle of Bir Hakeim, fought by Free French forces against the German Afrika Corps in 1942. The bridge has two levels, one for motor vehicles and pedestrians, and a viaduct above, through which the Paris metro passes, if I'm not mistaken, line 6. The railway viaduct is supported by metal colonnades, except where it passes over the island, as I have said, where it rests on a masonry arch. And we see here this stone arch in the middle as well. Yes, it is it. Well, let us go further. We are reaching the final destination of the attacking team. And here we see some kind of the park. So we are going from the street. From the street we see a high wall with gates, parade gates. Inside there is a park, French regular park, I have to say, being opposite to the English irregular park that resembles real-life nature. French park is symmetrical and has strict geometric shapes, and we see here this composition. In the middle we see the fountain. I think that the real-life references could be what we have here. Maybe the Medici fountain in the Luxembourg Garden of Paris, a lovely one, but too monumental, guys. I think that the most obvious reference is this one, the Wallace Fountain, the public drinking fountains that bear the name of Richard Wallace, an English millionaire and one of the most outstanding citizens of the city of Paris. So, after the July Revolution of 1870 and also Franco-Prussian War, the aqueducts that supplied Paris with water had been destroyed. Consequently, the price of clean water rose dramatically, and it was said that wine was then cheaper than drinkable water. So, in this, Richard Wallace financed the creation of drinking fountains to be set up across the city of Paris to provide all citizens with free access to clean water, and as well as Osmanian houses, as well as the Morris column, there were strict guidelines for how the fountains should look like in the matter of height, their form. So the price, they should have been really affordable, and of course the materials. The choice of materials was cast iron, of course. That meant that the fountains were solid, easy to shape, and simple to maintain. A true piece of art. And I think that uh, what I have saved here as a reference, wall fitting model. In fact, only one such model survives in real Paris, was made and redesigned in the game that we see here as well. So the real fountain's basin is flanked by pilasters decorated with tritons. Oh, the game once again quitted. Okay, I'll create my map again. Sorry, guys. Um, just one moment, please. One moment. Yes. Yes. So, the same can be seen here. Not pilasters, but some vases, some masks, head of the naiad that supplies a trickle of water. Practically the same can be found here. Yeah, slight differences, but nevertheless here it is. So, Wallis Fountain, another outstanding element of the street furniture. And we come to this enormous building. In fact, we can say what it is. Is it a palace or is it a so-called hotel? Not that hotel where tourists stay during their visits, but hotel as a respectable mansion for noble families. So usually such houses had been separated from the city, from the street. They had intimate space inside, and we see that solemn entrance with what you see here, a courtyard, but it's probably for carriages, for guests, yes, for some ceremonies, for some festivities. And in French, it is known as Cour d'honneur or Court of Honor. In fact, such composition has been used in many respectable architectural ensembles around the world. It comes from here, from the hotel. But of course, the palaces also have this structure. So it is really hard to define what we see here. What we see here, guys, they have hotels and palaces have their differences, but I think that they're combined here, as well as we see the blend with an outstanding French monument, though it is located not in Paris. I'll fly a bit higher so you could see the facade once more. Two rounded towers we see here in the center of the building, in the core of it. And it has something medieval in its structure, in fact, yeah? Medieval. And what I really know from real life is that it resembles this one. Look, that's Chateau de Chambord. That is one of the most recognizable chateaus in the world because of its very distinctive French Renaissance architecture, which blends traditional French medieval forms with classical Renaissance structures coming from Italy. It is the largest chateau of the Loire Valley, and it was a hunting lodge for Francis I, who also maintained his royal residences at Chateau de Blois, the castle of Blois, and Amboise. So this chateau departed from castle architecture, while they were castles with features commonly associated with them. They in fact, did not have serious defenses. So we see those rounded towers, but they are not defensive towers. They only resemble those old medieval structures. And the same can be seen in the game as well, even though this palace or hotel is a modern building. Look, we have Art Nouveau windows here. That's a total blend of everything, of French Renaissance, of French medieval style, with classic entrance portal, with pillars and Art Nouveau windows. Everything comes into a wonderful mix here. And as for another references, I think that we can analyze several palaces and hotels, those residences of noble families in Paris. Here I have some for you. The first one and the most obvious one is this building. That's the political center of France, named the Élysée Palace, Palais Élysée. A monumental gate with columns, flanked by walls topped by a balustrade, opens onto a large rounded courtyard. The majestic ceremonial courtyard imparts a degree of grandeur to the house. The main residence is constructed in the French classical style. An entrance vestibule is aligned with a ceremonial courtyard and gardens, and the same can be seen in the game. So we go from this majestic ceremonial gate, yeah, into the courtyard, all as I have just mentioned here. And look, this building in the game is named Maison Marat, and it is where the Treaty for Equal Rights of Humans and Objects has to be signed. So it's really some political building. And little reference, the real Élysée Palace, the residence of the President of France, has Salon Murat, that is usually used by the President for meetings with the Prime Minister and Cabinet of France, along with the Presidential Secretary. So, and it is placed in Salon Murat. And here we have Maison Marat. I think that despite little differences in pronunciation, there is also some little clue. And we also see this traditional French classical style here. And it is strongly reinforced by works of art. Once again, art. Well, of course, Paris, place of two majestic museums, the greatest museums in the world, Musée du Louvre and Musée d'Orsay, where the great part of the French Impressionist paintings are residing. So we can see all that here in the game as well. Perhaps the most obvious sample here, guys, that all of you know, even those who are not real fans of art, that is the Winged Liberty of Samothrace statue, an outstanding marble Hellenistic sculpture, sometimes celebrated as the most outstanding sculpture in the world. So, you all know it, guys. All know it. Here it is. The Winged Liberty. What I really like in this statue, if speaking about the real one, is that sense of space in front of it. Because you see how the wind that has carried her and which she is fighting off, straining to keep steady. As mentioned, the original mounting had her standing on a ship's prow, and we feel how the wind is flowing over the shapes of her body. But she is victorious. She is standing, she is flying confidently against this wind, and she will be victorious, the goddess of victory. That's a great feeling, guys. You just have to come to Louvre and feel it standing in front of the statue. Really great. But despite this statue, we also have some paintings. Van Gogh. In fact, this painting is not in Louvre or Orsay, though I can be mistaken, of course. That's why I'll speak about that really in Paris. For example, this one, and what I have saved for myself here. I think that it is homage, not a straight one, but nevertheless a very, very close one to Gustave Caillebotte, an outstanding French impressionist painter. Voilier à Argenteuil, those boats on the Argenteuil River. Some more paintings here, and we see them in the game as well. Let us fly. Dear Cam, I'm already flying, and you? My dear Cam. My dear Cam. Yes, 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 yes. Here, I'm here. Yes. Oh, what a magnificent painting, isn't it? So, what we see here? Water lilies in the pond? Yes. One of the most famous subjects for painting for Claude Monet. So, really? Blue water lilies? That's his painting. So we see homage to this painting, as well as some other of his works. Here we see bridge, Waterloo Bridge, Great Day, well, his visit to London. We see it in the other wing. Here, guys, here. Here it is. Once again, not the exact copy, but very much resembling what I wanted to show you. Just to know what the real paintings really look like. Another one, maybe? What we have here? A man in a boat, cloudy day, the palette. Maybe this one? Maybe, guys. Of course I can be mistaken, but nevertheless, it is the first Impressionist painting, in fact. Impression Soleil Levant. Impression Rising Sun. Once again by Claude Monet. And as you have already mentioned, as you have noticed, sorry, I have this wonderful girl here. Look at her. What a gentle, young creation. And in fact, oh, I'm here. Look at this girl. Look at this girl in the game. Yeah. Here. Right in the focus of our attention. Not once again the exact copy, but a very close one. So, this work has been created by a famous academic painter, Ingres, and the painting depicts a nude standing upright between an opening in the rocks and holding in her hands a pitcher from which water flows. She represents a water source of spring, for which source is a normal French word, and which, in classical literature, is sacred to the muses and the source of poetic inspiration. Once again, we see this theme of art. Art, I mean this aesthetical sense that is in flesh and blood of all Frenchmen, I think, and that is really a symbolic painting, a symbolic unity of woman in nature, and it is really beautiful, and we really see her here, and it is a dramatic contrast of tranquility, of the calm mood of this girl, and the last battle that is going here on the last point that the attacking team has to capture here in Paris. So, in fact, guys, here I should end up because we have come to an end of our journey, unfortunately. And I really hope that you liked it and that it hasn't been boring to all of you. I have to say that Paris really inspired me. And playing the game, uh, I now look with different eyes on the city as well as on the design made by creators of the Overwatch game for this map. Some comments say that this map is not presenting Paris at all, but as you have seen by references that I was able to find, the creators of the game really have done a serious research, and they have explored even small details like, I don't know, the fences or scooters in the street or graffiti paintings, not to say about poster art and large buildings like Eiffel Tower, palaces, Notre Dame, and all those beautiful Art Nouveau details. And I really liked it. And now each time playing on this map, I recollect my memories about this wonderful city. And I really hope that this trip today was interesting to you and inspiring as well. So, of course, if you want to sense what I have sensed, you'll have to come to Paris and see it, feel it with your own eyes and your heart. So that's all, guys. Thanks for watching and see you next time. If you have any feedback, feel free to leave it in chat or personally. You can also come to my website and see what I have there and come in contact with me. So see you all and bye bye. See you next time. Bye.